This week, I'm going to show you how I kit bashed this bubblegum pink dollhouse from the Dollar Tree into a hideout in a zombie apocalypse, complete with lovely zombie couple Nate and Barb. This base is a great starter project for those new to miniatures and is a close scale to tabletop miniatures. You can also use two of these to make a full house with these connectors. I did not. These two Sea Hag minis gifted by my brother will become zombies. Link in the description. To start, I'm disassembling everything and cutting some details off to be replaced later. I sprayed a light gray primer on everything and set it aside to dry. While I waited, I got to work on modifying these. Quick disclaimer, we will be painting fleshy zombie wounds today, so use the timestamps in the description to skip anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. I started by shaving off mold lines and carving away bits until I had this. I also used a lighter to melt and shape the models a bit. Next, I used a small piece of wire and some super glue to add the bone back into the leg. Using super glue gel, I built up some fleshy texture on the wire and on the model. For dear old Barb here, I went ham and cut her in half and added a piece to the middle. I also textured her with super glue gel. After a gray primer, they were both looking good. Nate got a mix of white and blue paints for a pastel blue color, and I added dark blue to his wounds. Next, I added some fleshy pinks in and clothing. Barb is a very traditional green zombie, and her wounds are also darkened with dark green. After a few little details, here's our lovely couple. This is my first time painting mini tabletop minis, and these certainly aren't award-winning, but I am happy with them. Now let's work on the house. I'm using this dark red for the roof and door. No special techniques here, just thin layers and trying to get into all the crevices. I did try red on the base of the house, but I decided I didn't like it. Next, I used some khaki for the siding. Again, just patience and layers. I think that it's easy to dismiss a project like this for some miniaturists, but I want to encourage you to consider that this is an affordable and accessible way to get into our hobby, and it's for that reason that I see so much value in it. The more inclusive and encouraging we are with this hobby, the more it will flourish. Here's the siding all done, and now it's time to paint the trim. For this, I'm using an off-white. I added black to the side windows with curtains, brown to the window panes, and khaki to the surrounds on the upstairs windows. And here's the door painted to match the roof. Now it's time to reassemble. I did touch up some scratches I made in the paint when I reassembled off camera. Next, I added some chipboard and super glue to the area above the front door. Next, I want to add some trim to the house using chipboard. This is a great way to cover details you don't like and add details you feel are missing. I eyeball all my measurements around trim and just make small notches with my X-Acto. You can always flip parts and use them to reduce remeasuring on symmetrical structures. I used more super glue gel to attach my new parts, and then I went back up to the roof. I added some trim under the dormers and around the lip of the roof. And after a fresh coat of paint on all of my additions, I was ready to add clear coat to everything. Now this house is certainly not grimy enough for my zombies, so we need to work on that next. I made a black wash with water and acrylic paint. I applied it with my paintbrush, dabbed the excess away, and let it dry down in the crevices. Now you can go really light on this, but I decided to go all in. I love adding grime and dirt to things. I like to use lots of extremes to start out. My base paint is always much brighter than I want the final project to be. Similarly, my first layer of wash is always more powerful than I want it to be. This is an intentional choice, and I layer more paints over these by dry brushing thin layers of the same base colors. This gives me a lot of easy depth, and it's fun for me. I repeated this process with the roof and trim until I was happy. Now of course our survivors need some boards for the windows. I just eyeball these and try to create some variation. I stick them on the back of painter's tape to make painting them and all of their sides easier. We also need some sheets to cover the windows. To do this, I'm using a paint and alcohol mix. I've been playing a lot of Project Zomboid, Build 41 lately, and covering your windows is essential. For the sheets, I'm using tissue paper and soaking it in this alcohol paint mix and letting it dry. Here are all of our parts. Let's start by covering the windows from the inside. I let some ripped edges hang down in the windows, and for other windows, I cover everything. Next, I'm just going to super glue some boards over the windows. I want it to look sloppy, like it was done in a hurry by the survivor. And here are all of our boards. I did go back with more dark brown paint to bring those boards down some. They were a little too bright for me. And I used some black wash on certain spots on the tarps on the inside. I am super happy with this little thing, especially for $1. Let's see what Nate and Barb think. I think Nate and Barb are pretty happy, but I don't speak zombie, so could you let me know in the comments section below what you think about this project? Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed this project and got some new ideas from it, or at least just felt encouraged to try making a miniature project if you haven't yet. I'd love if you joined the channel by subscribing and selecting all notifications. And remember, if you see a zombie, please don't get bit. I'll see you in the next video.